You ever struggled putting a speech together and then delivering it with confidence? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and all of you hesitant speakers. In my early years as a Toastmaster, I struggled doing a speech and putting it all together and then delivering it with confidence. But in my later years as a Toastmaster, I've been able to cobble together a method that works for me. And actually, it's a number of methods. But I would like to share that with you today, what I do. And so that way, maybe even if your name is Kathy, you'll adopt it and go forward. Let me show you what I do. And first thing I do when I'm trying to put together a speech is to do a mind map or a spidergram. And it looks like this right here. As a spidergram, I I just write down as many things as I can possibly write and think of. So once I've done that, then I will decide what things I want to keep in my speech and what things I want to get rid of and how I'm going to order them out. Now, when that's all done, then what I do is I write out my speech. And yes, I write out my speech, and I'll tell you why. It was a number of years ago that I got to meet one of the world champions of public speaking, David Brooks. And David told me that he writes out all of his speeches. He says it allows him to give a more flowery or descriptive language in his speeches. And I started doing that. But additionally, I have found that it gives me the chance to put together my voice whenever I want to, what voices I might want to have in my speech, or even my passion for a speech. I can develop it right then and there. But it also allows me to kind of gauge how long my speeches are going to go. I speak at about 120 words a minute. So if I write a speech that's about 850 words, that takes me about 7 minutes. Now, what I have written my speech out now, the next thing I do is speak out my speech. And to speak out my speech, I take and just start reading my speech over and over. Of course, initially, I find words, phrases, and even whole sentences just don't flow. So I eliminate those. But I keep practicing that speech. I read it over and over until I can kind of look away and say what that paragraph is about, not memorizing it, the thought in that paragraph. And now, remember, a paragraph is really a thought or a point as in the written word. That's what a paragraph is. So I just keep practicing that over and over. I don't get good at it because I go on to my next step. And that very next step is to put everything into rooms. I know you're saying, what? Yes, I put everything into rooms. And I'm not the inventor of this method. The Greeks and the Romans did it thousands of years ago. It's called the method of loci or the mind palace technique. So I have little vignettes that I place into every room on parts of my speech that I want to remember. For instance, very often I'll use my hallway where I do my introduction in the speech or my opening paragraph. Well, in a recent speech I did on breaking the ice, I envisioned an elevator in my hallway and uh, people just crowding onto the elevator, and they all had muddy shoes. But that little vignette, that little silly story, helps me instantly remember that I want to tell the story of the elevator as soon as I think of my hallway. I see that elevator, I see the people, muddy shoes, boom. I've got the speech that, or that part of my speech that I want to share with you. Now I can expand my speech or contract it as necessary because I can add rooms or take away rooms. Or additionally, I can use furniture in my rooms and I can go into further detail if I need to within a subject that I'm covering. I, and for instance, I remember on a speech where I was talking about eye contact and breaking eye contact. I envision my bedroom and I have two dressers in there and I have them sideways and stacked on top of each other and teetering and ready to fall. All in my mind, of course. But that reminds me that when breaking eye contact, you look sideways. But that little silly vision helps me remember it. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, it has given me the confidence that I can give a speech and remember every part of the speech as I go around. In fact, my wife, Martha, can call out any room in the house and I can tell her what part of the speech that I have in that room. All I have to do is remember my little silly story. Recently, Martha gave a speech and I helped her with that. And I can remember her entire speech just by remembering the rooms and the stories that she left in those rooms. Now, remember, I said that I just walk from room to room. All I'm trying to do is remember the thoughts that I had in those rooms. I'm not trying to memorize anything. I just link those thoughts with that room, and then I can give my whole speech. Ladies and gentlemen, it has given me great confidence that I can develop a speech and get it all done. I do my little brain mind map and then I read it out loud. I write, of course, I write it out and then I practice it. It has really helped me and I know it will really help you. Try it out. You can thank me later. Madam Toastmaster.